Well, so the first thing we have to do when we catch a bird, we have to figure out which side of the net it went in on. And that's just take some experience of knowing how the bird lay into that. Thinking this bird came in this side. And we have to take the bird out backwards from when it came in, so I can see an open space. And we just have to take the net up over its wings, get them off of its wings, and the bird complains about the whole operation. And pull it over its head, mess up its hair a little bit, and get its feet out, and we're done. So you might recognize this bird from the bird identification exercises you've been doing. You might recognize its sound. It's making a meowing sound, and it's basically a gray bird with a black cap. This is a gray catbird. Something that you don't see very often is reddish under the tail. So we put the birds in the bags and hold them until we bring them back to the banding station. See, he went quiet immediately, so he's calm now. He or she. We can't tell with catbirds. So we're good to go. Okay, gotta be careful on this one. It's very bitey. So do you guys recognize what this is? It's got that big orange beak, red highlights on the crest, a little black on the face. This is a female northern cardinal. And the question I always get is, does that hurt? Yes, that hurts. Cardinals have very strong bite. So I'm going to put her in the bag. Slides right down in the bag. Well, not entirely. So we've talked about mist nets quite a lot because they're the most effective way of catching birds, and we have 11 mist nets set around the property here to catch birds. But at the bird feeders, a good way to catch them is with traps. So we have a couple of different traps here. We have a feeder trap. We have a suet feeder in here, and it has holes in the side for woodpeckers and nuthatches will go in there, and we have an access door to take the birds out. And we have up here a potter trap, which is set on top of the platform feeder, and when the bird goes in, it trips the door and it closes the door behind it. And so the way to take them out is to open the door and reach in and hope the bird doesn't get out past your hand. So always holding it in the correct bander's hold, gently around its neck and holding its wings and feet still. Put it in the bag. Okay, we have a bird to band here that takes a size 1B band, so I'm on the 1B page. And I have to write down the whole band number, and it is 2831 26621. Today's date is May 6th, 2020 at the E.L. Johnson Nature Center. The species we'll get to in a minute. It was captured in a potter trap at the feeders. And the person banding the bird is me. Those are my initials. The person recording the data is me. That's my initials. And the status code I won't explain right now. That's 300. So I have the band and the pliers already. And we have the bird Right here, we're going to put the band on first. And we have a very difficult to describe bird. Generally gray-brown with a thick finch-like beak and no other distinguishing characteristics. It's bigger than a sparrow though, so even though it's got a sparrow-like beak, it's not a sparrow. This is in the family of blackbirds, and this is a female brown-headed cowbird. So let's enter brown-headed cowbird. There's 4-letter abbreviations for every species. In order to tell the age of this bird, I have to look at characteristics underneath the wing. And this tells me this is an older bird because I don't see any contrast between some of these feathers here. There's a little bit, but not as much as there should be. And we're looking at shape as much as anything else. So this is in it after its second calendar year. So after second year. And it is a female. And so I determined that by that there was no molt limit, we call that, but the plumage, her overall coloration is what we call plumage, is that of a female. So we determine that based on the plumage. And her wing is 96.5 millimeters. Her tail is 65.5 millimeters. And just looking to see if she has any fat. Cowbirds don't usually. And she doesn't either. So on a score of 0 to 7, she's a 0. And the last thing is that we're going to weigh her. Wait a second for the scale to warm up here. 0 the scale, so we take the weight of the bag off. We're putting the bird in this bag. Now we just roll her up and put her on the scale. And she weighs 39.6 grams. And she's done. Time released on the clock that I have here is 7:44. It's actually 8:44, but we're always doing things in standard time, not daylight savings time, but birds don't care about daylight savings time. A lot of people don't either. So she's done. Ready to go. And that's all the data that I collect in the field notebook. Open the band up. Oh, this is a surprise and it's good. I don't need this band for this bird because it already has a band on it. So this is a recaptured bird. We have not banded any blue jays yet this spring at the E.L. Johnson Nature Center, so this is a bird returning from a previous year. And the band number is 1372. 1372. And then the last 5 numbers are 58722. And it's May 5th, E.L. Johnson. I gave it away that it's a blue jay, but I think a lot of people recognize this bird. Beautiful blue bird with black and white markings. It has a little bit of faint barring in these feathers here, which tells me it's after its second calendar year. And we can't tell males from females apart unless they're nesting. And I don't take measurements again, but let's just see. It's a little bit early for blue jays to be nesting because they're kind of at the peak of their migration right now. I don't see any sign that this bird is breeding, so I have to enter unknown. And I'll have to look up this bird in my database to see when it was banded originally.
Yes, because this data doesn't stay in this book, does it?
It does not. It gets transferred to a spreadsheet. And then from that spreadsheet, it gets imported into the bird banding laboratory's software. And then I have to email that to them every year. My annual reports are due. Okay. So this bird weighs 89.0 grams.
So when you're taking this data, why are you relying more on paper and pencil than you would having to basically do this data twice because you're writing it and then you have to put it into a spreadsheet?
Well, because batteries don't last forever. And if the battery dies on the laptop, then I can't work anymore. And if I have a whole bunch of birds piled up, what am I going to do? I'll probably end up writing them on paper anyway. So it's just a lot faster too. Computing is fast. I'm a really fast typist. But to open up a program and get into it and find the cell to put it in and all that stuff, that actually takes more time than to just grab the pencil, write it, and put the pencil back down. So pencil and paper is a really good habit to get into, just like your field notebook when you're keeping track of the birds that you see. And blue jays are very, very feisty and bitey. Okay, so we're going to look up that blue jay right now, and rather than to go into my spreadsheet, I'm going to go into the bird banding lab database that I have, because it'll have all the birds in it, where my spreadsheets I do by year, and I have to guess which year. So all I have to do with this software is enter in the band number 137258722 and find it, and there it is. It's telling me that this blue jay was banded here at the E.L. Johnson Nature Center, which I'm not surprised. They come back to the same place from year to year, on May 9th, 2017. And it was in its second calendar year when it was banded. So if it was in its second year in 2017, it was hatched in 2016. So that makes it 3 years and 11 months old right now, if it was hatched in June, which we assume that they are. So it's almost a 4-year-old blue jay here at the E.L. Johnson Nature Center.